once, words about books. And we are picking up from where we left off last week. Did not think this was going to be a two-parter, but it turned into it because holy crap. Anyway, go listen to part one or this won't make any sense, but we're talking about the Pendragon series by DJ MacHale, the very first book, Merchant of Death. And Bobby found himself in another world. And also, people got shot to death, and his uncle is going to be executed. And no one can tell him what's going on. He's just going to have to experience it for himself. All right, we're going to pick up where we left off.
So Bobby's hiding in the mines now. Lore obviously very upset. Her mother just died. Later find out that's not her mother, but she's like a mother. And that's another thing. I can't really tell you because like eventually Bobby will put it together that when he goes back and sees his house is no longer there and nobody tells him why. He's like, Press, you're not really my uncle, are you? We're not related. Press is like, yeah, nah. That's old Press. That's an old Press. You got punked.
You just got pressed.
You just got pressed. So, and then Bobby's like, well, then who the fuck are you? What is the deal? And Press is like, gee, Bobby, it's really hard to explain. It's really better if you just see it for yourself. Get in my car. You see how dumb this is, right? like when you're writing it, and as a writer, you kind of have to. I guess you kind of got to see you got to let your characters breathe. You got to let them just go and see what they would do in certain situations. And I would love to know how DJ MacHale justifies Bobby getting in that fucking car at the end. I can't even fathom it. I would kill Press with my bare hands. I think I would bash his head in with a rock. I know that I just said I'd kill him with my bare hands. Maybe he's like Saint Dane. Maybe I get to do it twice. Yeah. So Asa's dead now. And the Malago are like, well, Alder's there by now. Alder is the traveler from Denderon. And he's the kind of their man on the inside. He's pretending to be a knight of Bedouin. He's spying. But he's also like 14. He's just kind of big for 14. And they're hanging out in the mines and they're talking about it. And the villagers are like, hey, we really appreciate what you tried to do here, but we're not going with your plan anymore. And Laura's like, what? But why? It's like, well, all of the adults who were with you were killed or are going to be killed. And frankly, you're just not very competent. And I'm an adult man plotting a revolution. And I'm just not entirely convinced why I need the help of 3 14-year-olds. And Bobby's like, see, that's a fair point. Like, that guy's making sense. You guys understand how, like, I'm not the weird one here, right? Like, Lore, okay, you're really good at beating people up. You can kill one guy before you're shot full of arrows. You know who was even better at beating people up? Asa. She took out 4 people, but then it turns out they had 5. So, like, you see how this isn't going to, like, work in a war setting. And Laura is just like, you're a coward. You're a goddamn coward, Bobby. I'm going to take you home. You're so embarrassing.
Okay.
Bobby's like, wow, I feel like a real piece of shit. But also, I'm going home.
Yeah, sweet.
And then they're like, what about your Uncle Press? He's like, oh, shit, my Uncle Press.
That guy who kidnapped me.
If I weren't blood related to him, I wouldn't do this, but I guess I'll risk my life to save him. If it turns out he was just some random asshole who kidnapped me, though, that would be a real kick in the nuts. So let's go save Uncle Press. But first, I need a few things. And so he sends a shopping list to Courtney and Mark. Courtney and Mark get him all the things on his list. He says they can get most of them from his house. And they're like, ew, oh,
Oh, his dog disappeared too.
Yeah, his dog's dead.
His
They're all dead. Press killed them. So
Press killed them.
all I'm saying is if I go back and Press knows everything about what's going on and he won't tell me anything, I go back and my family's gone. Press, I'm not getting in your car until I see my family. He's like, you'll see them again one day, Bobby, when it's meant to be. And I was like, Courtney, hold him down. Like, so they get him everything. And he's like, now I got one big ask for you guys. I mean, you could try to send it through the ring, but the ring only works for travelers. So what I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you to drive out to the most dangerous neighborhood in New York City, go into an abandoned subway station.
Watch out for the fucking Quigs, Mark.
Watch out for the
Courtney.
Quigs. Trust me, guys. Watch out for the Quigs. You now, from having read these journals, know more about them than I did going in. So you may be more prepared. Bring a gun. That seemed effective. So they're like, he's like, I'm going to need you to go to that neighborhood. I'm going to need you to go to that subway station. I'm going to need you to meet me there. I'll come pick up the stuff. So they get the stuff. They hop on the commuter train. They go into New York City. They're like, we're going to have to ditch school for this, right? And Mark's like, yeah, we're going to be bad kids.
Mark, you're such a fucking loser.
Look, man, if you've seen what I have on my walls, you don't even want to know what I have in my computer. Okay?
You're right, I don't. You should maybe just get a big powerful magnet, set it down right next to it.
You should burn it.
Yeah.
Melt it.
Yeah. You need to
It's
destroy
the only
that.
way.
Yeah.
You need to separate the plastic from the metal on that one. So they get on the commuter train. They go to New York City. They take two subway trains. He kept saying subways. That was weird to me. I think somebody who has ridden a subway would say train, but whatever. They take two trains to get to the abandoned train station. And when they're there, they're like, oh, wow. Now, interesting point. They're kind of here, not in the middle of the night. They're here at rush hour. So there's just train after train coming. They don't run into Quigs because there's so many goddamn trains coming. And so they hop on the tracks, as you do, and a train's coming. And they got to find this magic door because it's the only way they're not going to be killed by a train. And so you're sitting there as a reader wondering, as this goes on and on and on, maybe this is where Mark and Courtney die. Maybe they're hit by a train. Bobby comes out, retrieves the items from their corpse, and goes, oh, who am I going to send my journals to now? Maybe my mom. But no, they don't die. That's the two children are not murdered. Only that guy who had children. And they meet up with Bobby, and Bobby's like, oh wow, can't believe you're both here. Wait, Courtney, why are you here? Mark's like, I had to show her the letters, and he's like, even the stuff about the
could you not? Could you stop?
Mark, you and your goddamn hentai. Okay. Yeah, Courtney. Look, I've been through a lot. Okay, sorry. But thank you for getting all the stuff. You guys are awesome. Did you bring me that gun I needed?
I could really use a gun right
I could
about
use
now.
a gun.
It's our
Even like
Second
a
Amendment right, okay?
even like a big knife, like a kitchen knife. These people don't have metal. Anything would be great. Um, but no, he didn't ask for a single weapon. He's not a warrior. He is not going to fight. He's going to use his brain.
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
remember him being particularly smart, but
No, he's not. But
okay.
I mean, that's what he's smarter than anyone else involved.
Oh my god, okay. So
Uh,
he's lucky
Lore,
he got into a medieval shithole. Is
yeah,
what you're
Lore
saying.
wants to punch everything. Alder is just like, please tell me what to do. And everyone else is dead or captured. So Bobby's running this show now. Oh, and there's this weird merchant guy who comes up to him. And he's like, "What you need is tack. I can get you some tack. You got money? I got tack for money." Bobby's like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you have nothing I could possibly want. Your whole village, your whole village is not worth my allowance. Like, guy, you cannot even begin to understand how much I need you to fuck right off." So then Bobby gets back. He's got his cool shit. He's got his, oh boy, what did he bring? He
I
brought
guess
a
I should
boom.
mention that uh, you mentioned Saint Dane was here, and he was the one doing the measuring. And the reason they knew it was Saint Dane was because of his eyes. Like he's a shapeshifter.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, Saint Dane is also the merchant,
Yeah. Okay.
but
But his
like,
eyes are not
yeah,
the
that's kind of an
piercing
ass
blue.
pull. Like, unless we're to believe, no, he says when the merchant died, it was years ago. It's been Saint Dane the whole time. So, uh, what we're doing here is he brought a watch, an alarm watch, so you can get up in the morning. He brought.
Okay.
He lives in a mine. He doesn't know when the sun's up. I don't know how he synced the watch's time to.
Maybe just put 8 hours and hope that this planet also had a
You're
24
right.
hour
He probably just
schedule.
put like 2 hours. Yeah. The planet has three suns, so it definitely doesn't. But they uh he brought a boom box. He
So he could
brought
play some sick beats. Getting some Wade Watts flashbacks, Ben.
he brought a boom box. He brought a remote controlled car. He brought walkie talkies.
Excuse me?
I'm trying to think what else he brought, and a dog whistle. I think those are the big ones.
Okay.
Oh, and he asked for a flashlight. When he wakes up in the morning, he sees somebody's gone through his pack, doesn't see a flashlight. That's going to be important. So, with these magic weapons, he's going to go rescue Uncle Press. So they got to sneak into the palace of the Bedouin. And when they sneak into the palace of the Bedouin, they find that they're way more advanced than the Malago, which is still not very advanced, but like,
They don't shit where they eat.
yeah, they got running water. They've got food. That's a big thing.
That
Got
is a
different kinds
big
of food.
thing. Food
Uh,
is pretty
they've got
pretty
these
important.
weird porcelain servants.
What?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No, no,
Hang
not at
on.
all. Like they're made of porcelain?
No, hang on, I'll tell you. Okay. Here, I'll describe them to you. It was then that I noticed the kitchen workers as they went busily about their chores. They had a different look than anyone else I had seen on Denderon. Their features were all very small and delicate, like perfect dolls. Everything about them was small: their hands, their feet, and even their height. Their eyes were different too. they slanted down, which gave them a kind of an Asian feel. They all wore outfits like we had on, but theirs were white. But the thing that jumped out the most to me about them was their skin. It, too, was pure white. Now, I don't mean pale skinned like the Malago, I mean white. And believe it or not, it wasn't creepy. In some strange way, they were beautiful people. They just happened to look like porcelain dolls, like the kind of person Mark would fetishize.
That was word for word. That's canon.
I added one sentence. Guess which one? Um, and then they're sneaking through the palace, but Mark they get found. They get chased by guards, and so or not Mark. I keep wanting to say Mark. Bobby. So they're getting chased by guards, right? Or there's a guard, and I forgot to mention Bobby also got a laser pointer. It only works for 5 seconds though.
What?
So
Shitty laser pointer you got.
there's a guard looking around the kitchens, and they need to distract him. So Bobby like literally laser pointers on the wall, like cat, and the guard tries to catch it.
Okay.
And while the guard's trying to catch it, they sneak away. And then Bobby like
guard.
Yeah, no, Bobby keeps playing with the guard with the laser pointer. And then he gets away, and so he tricked that guard. Then they get caught by some more guards, and they're running up some stairs, and Bobby's like, wait, now it's time for the boombox. He puts the boombox down, and he pushes play, and it's some heavy metal music that all the kids are into. That Metallica, it's going to be big. In 2002, they're all listening to the metal. You know, in 2002, it's distinctly possible that what was coming out of that boombox was Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. It was just one of those days.
Are you just rolling?
He's just rolling all the way to Uncle Press. Those are two different songs, but yeah. So you could edit that in. It's distinctly possible that that is what happened.
It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything is fucked. Everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact.
And the guards are like, what is this witchcraft? We got to run away. They were not ready for the Durst.
I don't think anyone is ready for the Durst.
You never know when that Durst gonna burst, you know?
Oh, does he have hepatitis, Ben?
Does Fred Durst have hepatitis? Is that what you just asked me? I said that mostly for my wife's benefit. No, he directs movies. Not very good movies, but he directs them. So, Fred Durst scares away the guards, and then they're moving on. And now there's they finally get to Uncle Press's jail cell. And now there's another guard, and this is where the RC car comes into play.
I don't remember this being quite so stupid.
So he drives the RC car in front of the guard, and the guard's like, "What the fuck?" And then he slows it down, and the guard's about to pick it up, and then he speeds up. And then the guard walks a little further. He slows it down and tries to pick it up, and he speeds up. And he just slowly leads the guard to where Lore is waiting to get the drop on him, and then Lore just chucks him out a window.
Okay.
Yeah, Lore murders a man. This is the first time I think we see one of the kids just straight up murder somebody. But it won't be the last. And then they go into the jail cell, but it's not Uncle Press. It's just some asshole.
Oh, no.
So he gets a thing on the walkie-talkie now. It's a thing on the walkie-talkie. He's like, "Hey, guy, it's me, your buddy Alder. I know where Uncle Press is, but you got to come running. You got to run to me. And he gives him very specific instructions of where to run. And when Bobby gets there, Alder has a knife to his throat, and Laura's also indisposed with a knife to her throat. And Saint Dane is there telling Alder what to say. And Uncle Press is not there. But the Queen of the Bedouin is there. And we're going to need to describe her.
She's fat.
No,
Baby
I'm going to
fat?
read this.
Oh,
You're
God.
not, you can't even come close to how tedious this description gets. Ba-da.
Is this going to be a two-parter, Ben?
It's up to you, dude.
It seems like it's going to be a two-parter.
Okay. Okay. This is how. Now, he's been really careful to be, I think, politically correct. Perhaps too careful. So now we're going to really 2002 this. The queen's name is Coggin. I have to describe to you guys what Coggin looked like because she was a real piece of work. First off, she was fat. Not just baby fat chubby. We're talking Gordo. I'll bet she kept that kitchen downstairs pretty busy. She wore a flowing yellow toga dress that didn't do much to hide her rolls of chub. Luckily, the dress went to the floor and had long sleeves because I didn't think her arms and legs would be a pretty sight. The dress didn't hide her feet, though. She wore these sandals that her toes poked out of like stuffed sausages. Not a pleasant picture. She also had a double chin of fat that hung down over the neck of her dress. Ick. I have no idea how old she was. She could have been 18 or 30 or any age in between. The fat stretched her skin so much that it gave her a smooth baby look. Of course, she wasn't a baby. She was a monstrous evil queen with fat toes. Everything about her was big. Her hands, her feet, her head, even her eyes. Oddly enough, with all of the size she had going on, her mouth was tiny. Such a little hole didn't belong to this immense, doughy face. She had long hair, too, but it wasn't shiny and combed. It hung down over her shoulders and looked like it hadn't been washed in a few months. Nice, huh? She was like some kind of bizarro cartoon sumo wrestler woman.
Yeah, she was so good at sumo, she was sumoing with the men.
I'm not done.
Oh, God.
She had multiple drapes of silver necklaces, bracelets that traveled halfway up her arms, and rings on every finger. She also had a tiara perched on top of her head that looked kind of stupid because it was too small. On any normal head, it would look fine, but her big, old, round, greasy-haired dome made it look like a doll crown on a giant. Of course, all the silvery jewelry was adorned with glaze. It must have taken the Malago miners a week to dig up this much glaze. There were baseball-sized stones mounted all over the golden chair. Every time he will mention Coggin for the rest of the book, it will come with at least 1 to 2 sentences of how disgustingly fat she is.
Jesus Christ.
I was reading it and I'm just like, okay, like she's grotesque. I get it. Like the Baron from Dune does not have this much description of how fat he is. And he's literally a monster. That was like a page and a half just describing how fat she is. So she's also dumb.
Okay.
She's also dumb and she has an annoying voice. It's subtle, but I don't think you're meant to like her.
Okay.
I think she may be the bad guy.
I was starting to get that impression, but I think I needed a few more descriptors of her
Oh,
before I was
did you?
sure.
Um. Oh God. She's always okay. You need another descriptor. Um, Coggin then tossed a juicy, wet fruit pit on the floor. Instantly, a Novan servant appeared from behind the throne, cleaned up the pit, and disappeared again. No wonder this woman was so fat. She didn't have to lift a finger to do anything. I'm not joking. It's every time. I just searched for Coggin, and it's every time. So Coggin is a bit of a puppet monarch. Saint Dane is calling all the shots. She's very dumb. She's like has the mind of a child. She's more than just dumb. She's not all there. I don't know what he's trying to get at with her. But she's just like whatever Saint Dane says she does, and she doesn't question it, and she doesn't like to think because it makes her head hurt. So Saint Dane is like, well, let's kill him. And she's like, okay, let's kill him. And Bobby's like, but wait, isn't like, what if Saint Dane is the bad one? Huh? Did you ever think about that?
No,
And
actually.
she's like, no, I'm hungry.
Jesus.
And then so they throw him in a coliseum. It takes them a long time to figure out they're in a coliseum, but you know that guy I mentioned was in the cell that they thought was Uncle Press.
Yeah.
Well, he goes in first, and you know what comes out?
A Quig.
It's Quigs.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay. I
and they
actually
toss
didn't
him.
remember that. I just guessed.
Yeah, they toss him a spear so that he can fight the Quig for sport. Everybody's watching. There's a Bedouin section. There's a Milago section. There's a bunch of the doll people who just politely clap at everything they see. I have no idea what that's about. I'm guessing it doesn't go anywhere in future books.
I think I read that somewhere in either the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th book, you visit a world that is either the future, I think it's the future of Denderon, on a different continent or something. I have no idea. I don't even remember these people.
Okay, so that guy's immediately killed by the Quig, and Bobby feels kind of bad about that. And then Uncle Press is sent out to fight the
Oh
Quigs,
my god.
but he looks like he's gonna win, or at least not lose as bad.
Get out your bows. Start
And
shooting him.
Bobby jumps in to help Uncle Press. And Laura and Alder jump in too, and the Quigs come out, and now it's time for the dog whistle. Bobby has a dog whistle. Now, Uncle Press thinks that this is the same whistle from the sled all the way back at the beginning, if you remember that. I had forgotten it. Uncle Press is like, I knew you had the whistle and I knew you'd save me. And Bobby's like, well, I fucking lost that whistle immediately. But don't worry, I got another one. And as they're escaping from the Quigs, he's like, it's a good thing you kept that whistle. And Bobby's like, well, actually, it's a different whistle. I got it from back home. And Press is like, what? What the fuck did you just say? And he's like, yeah, I got it from back home. He's like, throw it in the ocean. Throw it in the ocean now. They escaped from the Quigs. We don't have time. He's like, throw it in the ocean. You can't bring anything from home. Bobby's like, oh, why? And he's like, I don't know. It's better for you to just see for yourself, Bobby. I don't know why you keep asking me all these questions about the rules. And Bobby's like, but like, what would happen if I brought something from home? Is this like a Star Trek thing? Like, are we going to, pollute the timeline? Is this what's the Star Trek rule about, they don't interfere. What's it called? The Prime Directive. It's a Prime Directive thing. Like they don't interfere with worlds that can't consent to join in. Like they haven't reached in a point in their civilization where they're technologically advanced enough to meaningfully consent to join in the Federation. So you can't like give them any technology or interfere with their development. It's kind of that rule, I guess. He literally never explains why. By way of explaining, we experience why when one of the Malago, that guy who's also Saint Dane, figures out he takes a battery, several batteries. He takes the flashlight. So he's got batteries and he's got a flashlight, and he rigs that to the tack. Now, what the tack is, we find out, is it's a stone that explodes on impact. One does kind of wonder how you mine that, but
Very carefully.
it's also like putty, like you can mold it. So maybe they just scoop it out. I don't know. One also kind of wonders how it winds up underground in a vein then. But so this stone explodes on impact. And now what you could do is if you got a battery, you can rig a whole bunch of that stuff up to a wire. And you can flip the switch on the flashlight and it could send a little electric charge to the tack and it could blow it up like a bomb.
Oh my God.
This tack is pretty potent. They describe it as being like a nuclear level threat, which
I don't know about that one, buddy.
yeah, I don't think so. I think it's possible your understanding of nuclear weapons is on par with your understanding of hentai. So, but it would be
the same
bad.
thing. I don't know.
But it would be bad. Also, like there's a million ways you could do this, right? Like if the tack explodes on impact, they're literally throwing it with slingshots at stuff and it's blowing up, right? So like you get a bow, you get an arrow, you shoot it into a bunch of tack, it blows up, right? Chain reaction. Little piece of tack blows and then the rest of it blows. Like you throw a torch at it, blows up, right? Like there's a million ways they could create a bomb with tack, and tack is native to their world. But everybody's like, Bobby, you piece of fucking shit. You brought them 2D batteries and a flashlight. And now
the world is over.
The whole world is going to turn into a nuclear wasteland.
Oh, dang it, Bobby. I'm going to kick your ass.
And Bobby's like, well, I can go if you don't like my ideas, you know?
Bobby is like, maybe they didn't, like, if that's all it took, maybe this was going to happen eventually anyway.
Yeah, right? Like,
why
that was
would
my
Saint
thing.
Dane not just do that? He's the guy who
did.
stole the batteries and switch.
He did.
Well,
we find out he's the one that gave him the tack. He's the one that found the tack. Or the original merchant guy found the tack. Saint Dane killed him. He brought a bunch of tack to these guys. He's been engineering this whole conflict. What he wants is the war, not to kill these specific traveler people. He wants to destroy this world. He wants to unravel the whole of the universe so that he can take over the universe and build it back up. He's like, Hala's going to fall one day. And Bobby's like, what the hell is Hala? And Uncle Press is like, I think it's like kosher for Muslims. And he's like, I don't know, Bobby. You're just going to have to experience Hala for yourself and learn what it is that way. Bobby, why do you keep asking me these asinine questions about how things work and what we're doing here? And why am I interfering in a civil war? Like, I don't know, Bobby. You know, like shit happens, man. So Bobby, right? He's gonna help with this Civil War situation, but they've already got the bomb, and they're gonna use it. And Press is like, "Well, you can't use the bomb, guys." And the dude looks at him and he's like, "We have been enslaved for as long as anyone can remember. Every day, almost, I watch them kill somebody in front of me because I didn't mine enough glaze, which, as far as I can tell, is only used for decoration and the purchasing of the porcelain doll servants. So don't you sit there and tell me I can't blow these people to hell." And Bobby's like, Uncle Pressy's making some really good points. Press is like, no, not like this. you have to fight, but you have to fight hand-to-hand combat with whatever sticks and shovels and pickaxes you have to hand, and you have to maim and mutilate one another by hand in a battle of attrition, because that's where you guys are right now.
Yeah, this sounds awful.
And they're like, counterpoint, dungeon. Get to the dungeon. Your dungeon. And Bobby's like, okay, but why can't they use the bomb? And he's like, think about it, Bobby. It's like a nuclear weapon. And Courtney's reading these journals at this point, and Courtney's like, so what? Only we super civilized smart people have the right to have like weapons of mass destruction? And Mark's like, no, think about it, Courtney.
And Mark's like, this is going to be a big deal in like a year, okay?
If they get the bomb, then they'll become the dominant tribe on their planet.
Sounds good to me.
And as we sit here as Americans, I cannot help but wonder,
having our hente in our bedroom, just hanging out like we own the place.
I cannot help but wonder if perhaps Courtney has a point. If perhaps this is maybe just a smidge, I got mine, now you can't have yours, imperialistic attitude. Like, I don't know why the Malago can't have the bomb. It's made of their stuff.
Then they'll use it, Ben. For all the injustices they suffered, Ben.
They should use it. But the bomb, right? The whole big thing is like they wouldn't have a bomb if they didn't have the detonation device Bobby provided. But like, again, I can think of a dozen ways off the top of my head that the way this substance is described, you could, using fairly primitive methods, say, for example, hucking a rock at it to set it off from a distance. Or maybe just like taking the whole cart of it and dumping it over all at once, dropping it from a height. Bobby literally like throws a ball of it and it blows up. So like you take a cart, you take it to a high, like the second floor of the palace, you shove it out the window, and it blows up, right? DJ MacHale, please write me to explain to me why this doesn't work. So I'm gonna yada yada a lot. They get the bomb. We gotta stop the bomb. We gotta stop the bomb.
Yeah.
Because if the Malago use this bomb, then it's the whole big thing. So going to the palace, there's like this big dumbass plan I don't fully understand to get.
We're gonna need another RC car, okay?
We got to get the device from the guy. We get the device from the guy. The war kicks off anyway. There's a small explosion. They use a smaller version of the bomb to blow up a Quig. So that explosion is the signal that kicks off the Civil War. So now they're doing the hand-to-hand combat fighting, slowly killing each other in the most painful way possible. And then Mark, or not Mark, I don't know why I keep wanting to say Mark. Bobby and Laura go down and they find out that Saint Dane was the merchant guy, and they find his secret tack mine, and it just so happens to be under the palace. And they have a big old conversation where Saint Dane reveals his evil plan.
Oh my God.
Bobby's like,
that was Saint Dane the whole time, Ben.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I don't care.
This time his eyes were not piercing blue, so it's a reveal. He got you. He doesn't have to shapeshift into a guy with piercing blue eyes. He just decides to do that sometimes.
He just thought those eyes would go good with that armor. So that
was Saint Dane, Ben.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay, I just wanted you to be like extra sure. Like that was him. He's the bad guy. He can shapeshift, Ben.
This conversation, and Bobby still has a little piece of tack from earlier.
He
And
throws it into his fucking face.
Saint Dane's revealing his evil plan, and Bobby doesn't really understand anything he's saying because nobody will explain
I'm
anything.
14 and I don't know what any of this means. Who even are you?
He's like, I'm going to take down Hala. And he's like, but aren't you a traveler too? And he's like, yeah, I'm a traveler. And he's like, so why are you doing the thing you're doing? And he's like, because then I can rule the universe. And Bobby's like, well, isn't that a little underwhelming and kind of cliche?
I think in the 6th book, maybe it was
Oh
the
my
6th
God.
book, maybe it was earlier, Ben. He mentions that he made a promise to someone, and so they're like, oh my God, does he have like a master? And I read the wiki, and no, I don't think that it was a promise to the good guys that he was going to fuck him up or something. He
Okay.
doesn't have a master. And later he
Yeah.
gets white eyes, Ben, and his
Okay.
his hair gets burned off.
So, so yeah, he's explaining his evil plan. Bobby doesn't understand it, and because Bobby doesn't understand it, I don't understand it. And then Bobby's like, okay, well, I've heard enough of your rambling. And he throws the tack on the ground, igniting the tack vein. The whole thing lights on fire and it will eventually explode. Fortunately, there's a door to another world there, one of the flumes. St. Dane runs into the flume first. He shouts
Man,
out
that's
SeaWorld.
convenient. That was right next to the explosive mine.
Yeah. So St. Dane runs in, he shouts out SeaWorld. He goes to the shark tank.
Shamu.
And he sends back a bunch of water, and Bobby's like, oh, is he trying to like put out the fire and save the tack? And no, what he was doing was he was sending through one of SeaWorld's shark quigs, and the shark quig comes in with a flash of water. But then, it's obviously going into a mine where there's no water. So the shark's flopping on the ground.
At the end of the next book, he sends bullets through the flume.
That is more effective.
It does kill Uncle Press.
That's hilarious. So the shark knocks out
Saint
Lore.
Dane is a gangster from the 1930s, Ben.
The shark knocks out Lore. It just flops into her. And then it's flopping. It's a big shark, but it's flopping pretty hard. So you can't, like, he thinks about trying to walk around it to get into the flume, but like, I don't know. It's a big shark. It's pretty floppy. So he opts to throw Lore in a minecart and push her to freedom. So he's pushing and pushing and pushing, tacks lighting on fire, pushing, lighting on fire. Are they going to make it? I don't know. Maybe this 10-book series ends here. And
new character. It's Alder. He is the main character from here on out.
It's like JoJo. There's always a different Pendragon.
There you go.
Yeah, each season is like his descendant. But he's 14, so he doesn't have any. Oh, Courtney, it turns out you were pregnant.
Oh, God.
So...
Jesus. That's why you don't kiss before you're 18.
You can't kiss before marriage.
Yeah.
It makes Jesus cry. So they don't die. He pushes her out the mine window. There's a
what?
Part of the mine just opens into the side of a cliff, which opens into the ocean. So he pushes Lore, who it is canonically established cannot swim and is unconscious, pushes her in a mine cart off a cliff. And then it jumps, and he's sitting there thinking about, like, okay, I got to make sure I tuck my legs, land on my feet. Otherwise I could get knocked unconscious or, like, just have my ribs shattered and be really screwed up and just die from the impact, because, like, falling from this height, if you do it incorrectly, is like hitting concrete. Meanwhile, Laura is just flopping unconscious in the air. I'm not making this up. He really thinks these things, and that is really happening beside him.
He's
and
writing
she may
all
or may
this
not...
in his journal. I gotta be really careful.
He literally does. And he's like, and Laura may or may not have a minecart on top of her. I have no idea how he intends to find her, because if the minecart lands on top of her, she's dead. She's just going to sink straight to the bottom. Fortunately, he just finds her floating on her back, not dead. That was kind of a cop-out. DJ, you got to write to me and explain to me why that worked.
Well, it's because he's gonna hook up with Lore later on.
But unfortunately, there's a fast moving current that's taking them exactly where they need to go. As you know, how currents move really fast towards the shore,
That sounds right.
like in the ocean. If you go out
Yeah,
too
yeah.
far,
I've
it
seen
pulls you.
waves that
Yeah,
pull
it
you
pulls you
into
directly towards
to
the shore.
land. Yeah.
Every time. That's what's going on here. It's one of those safe currents. And then
Thank
the mine
God.
blows up. It's under the palace, so the palace blows up, falls into the ocean, whatever.
All right.
The
Cool.
the earthquake from the mine stops the fighting because they're all like, "Oh my god, the ground is opening
We
and
made
shooting
Jesus
fire."
mad.
Yeah, and then it turns out that the Bedouin having lost their center of power, the Malago having had most of their fields corrupted or destroyed by the flames. So really, what Bobby needed to do was nuke both of them.
Ah.
So they were afraid that they were going to nuke themselves if they had this tack, but if Bobby nukes them, okay. And he
Okay.
blew up all the tacks that can't nuke themselves twice. That's the important thing. Now,
And he presumably brokered a peace treaty between them. Like, hey, sorry we blew up your castle, and hey, sorry we enslaved your people and kept throwing you down mine shafts to their death. Like, I'm sure
well,
the
Uncle Press
widow.
does that off screen.
Okay, so the widow was like okay with that. Like, okay, I'll
Mm.
just marry one of the Bedouin.
So, and then Bobby shows up at Mark's door, and he's like, "Hey, Mark, I'm back. Here's journal number 4. You can read this while I sleep in your bed. Hey, Courtney, did you see his hentai poster? That was
Isn't he
weird.
a fucking loser?
Yeah, he's such a fucking loser."
I don't
And
know
then
why I hang out with him, honestly. But
Bobby's like, "Hey, I want to go home, but like I just need to rest up first. It'd be too much pressure to see my family right now." And they're like, "Oh,"
I can't
and
wait to pet my dog. It's gonna be
yeah,
so awesome. I've been dreaming about that dog. Like, I can't wait to go on walks again.
and then he wakes up and Bobby's like, "Okay, I'm ready to go see my family now." And they're like, "Are you sure you want to see your family?" He's like, "Yeah, no, I definitely like more than
Maybe you
anything.
should never go home. Have you ever
I've
thought
been
about
gone for
that?
so long. Like, I just really need to know that like they're there and they're safe. I want to
And
see my dog
definitely
again.
alive. And also, my
Yeah,
room is there in
I
my
want to see my
house.
sister. I want to hug my mom. I just really
Oh,
need
I
to
forgot
feel.
he had a sister.
I just really need to feel like at home, right? Yeah, there's another child involved in this, and
And
so
the
they're
police,
like,
of course, will never figure out. Like,
they walk up to his house. They're walking together, and Courtney's just like, "So Bobby, like, there's something we should tell you, but I think it's better if you just see it for yourself." And it's just experience. Uh, but just
motherfucker.
know, whatever happens, we're here for you. Not like financially, but
We are
if you,
14.
yeah, we're 14. Like you can't stay at my house forever, but like spiritually, if you need to like pray with someone, I could do that for you. Um, so Bobby walks up, sees his house is gone, and he's just like, "All right."
Guess my life is over.
And
Guess I'll
that's
go on another
when
fucking adventure with Uncle Press. I
that's
mean,
when Press shows up in his fancy car. Press gets out and he's wearing his t-shirt and jeans, and Laura gets out and she's also dressed appropriate to the world. And she and Courtney have a little static because now the last thing Laura said to Bobby was like, "You are a warrior, and I respect you."
and
You
Mark is like, my dreams are coming true.
you totally saved my life. Yeah, now I get to watch Bobby get with 2 girls because Mark
Yeah.
is a little freak who likes to watch.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mark. God,
you loser. Um,
fucking loser.
Press is like, "I wanted to tell you, Bobby, but I thought it was better if you just experienced it for yourself."
You fucking suck. I hate
And
you so much.
and
God
Bobby
damn it.
Bobby's like, this is when Bobby says, "You're not really my uncle, are you?" He's like, "Yeah, no." He's like, "And you guys went through this too? Your families had to mysteriously disappear?" Like, "Yep. Every traveler does it." And he's like, "I don't suppose you could tell me why." He's like, "Well, Bobby, it's tough to explain. It'd be really Probably better if you experienced it for
son of a
yourself.
bitch.
But I can tell you, you will see them again.
Yeah, when I go to the farm upstate at the end of all this, is that the fucking
in
thing?
heaven.
I think at some point Press does mention that Bobby is part of the last generation of travelers. I don't know why, but that is the case. There will be no more after him.
And does he tell him why? Or does he tell him
No, I think he gets bullets from the flume.
it's better if you just experience it for yourself? Like, you're going to be part of the last generation because we all die at the end.
There's no more travelers after you, and that's because of global warming. I'm so sorry.
Like, who told you that, Press? Where do you get your information? Who tells you where you need to go? Who told you that these people were in trouble? Oh no, I'm riddled with bullets. Sorry, Bobby. You'll just have to
The
experience
flume
it for
always
yourself.
takes you when and where you need to go, Ben.
Yeah, but I had to say Denderon, didn't I? It didn't just take me there, did it?
Yeah, but it took you to the right time.
Yeah, but like somebody
and
had to tell
was
me
3 days before.
Somebody had to tell me I had to go to Denderon, right?
Yeah, it took you there 3 days before the catastrophe instead of like 10 years when you could have just prevented the whole thing.
Why doesn't it just take me to where Saint Dane was born so I can smother him in the crib?
Yeah, it's a good point. And the answer is you have to experience that for yourself, Ben.
And the answer is the Hindenburg has to blow up.
The Hindenburg has to blow up or the Nazis win.
Okay, rubric. Let's bang this out. Blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja. There's a link to the rubric. Okay, let me... Of course, now it doesn't want to load. There we go. The Words About Books rubric. Okay. Content and ideas. I would actually... I'd give it a 4, I guess. I'm going to trust that the ideas that he really offensive.
Really?
I
Yeah. I feel like 3 would be appropriate.
For if I'm taking, yeah, you know what? I guess they're just not developed enough.
They're
I guess
not developed in this book. You have to read several more books to get it.
I was gonna say I'll give it for the series because the organizational structure is a 2. For a 2, it has to be the organizational structure is present but ineffective. Narrative is confusing and hard to follow in a way that doesn't feel intentional. Pacing is either much too fast or much too slow. It's all of these things. Present but ineffective. Let me read you the table of contents. Okay, just to give you an idea of how this starts to fall apart so quickly. Journal 1, Denderon, Second Earth. Journal 2, continued. Second Earth. Journal 1 continued. Second Earth. Journal 2. Second Earth. Journal 2. Journal 2. Second Earth. Journal 3. Journal 3. Journal 3. Journal 3. Second Earth. Journal 4. Journal 4. Journal 4. Journal 4. Journal 4. Journal 4. Second Earth. About the author copyright. He wanted to do back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But then the story that was actually the story became too involved, and he had to just keep doing many chapters in a row. Thus, the framing device of them being on Second Earth, there's nothing for Mark and Courtney to do. They don't need to be in this book. He goes to great lengths to like he really wanted the rings and the journals. He even mentions in the foreword that his nephew helped him with that. I really think his nephew might have been sabotaging him. Also, I didn't mention this.
Put hentai on the wall.
Yeah.
Uncle DJ. That's what all the kids have on the wall.
The slang is very cringe. Let me see. You know the calculator I have where you input the numbers by talking to it? That was from Uncle Press. I got to tell you, he was the coolio uncle everybody wished they had. He uses the word coolio not to refer to the rapper 3 times. But that's use of language. The narrative is confusing or hard to follow in a way that does not feel intentional. I have no idea who the fuck these people are.
You just gotta read 9 more books.
Yeah, that's insane. I have no idea who these people are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, where Mark's family went, or Bobby's family went, why Mark is there.
Where did Mark's family go to? He's got hentai on his
Where
wall.
is Mark's family?
Where
Jesus
is
Christ.
Mark's family?
Pacing is either much too fast or much too slow. I would say the fact that I have to read 9 more books to figure any of this out points to much too slow.
Were you giving word choice, Ben, with that hip hop lingo, dog?
2.
We're gonna crack open a hentai comic book.
A Coolio hentai comic. A Coolio hentai superhero a hentai animation superhero cartoon. That's what he said.
Oh my god.
No, it's not good. The language isn't good. I gotta actually adjust my rating on
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm like, unless you're giving it a 5 for personal preference and recommendation, I don't know how this makes a 3.
I didn't actually rubric it when I reviewed it on Goodreads, and now I have to pull a Nate. And let me do that right now. Let me do that just right now for you. We're gonna go down. We're gonna go down to a 2. Okay. So, language used. It's 2. It's not Coolio. It's not. It's repetitive. I really don't care for the way. You know how I feel about the first person. I don't like it, and this is like, oh my god. It's the first person, and he's commenting in real time on the things he says. And they're Coolio hentai. My dog Marley was the coolest golden retriever there ever was, semicolon. And I had recently macked with Courtney Chetwynd. Parentheses. Did I mention that? How much more going on can you get?
Please stop.
Yeah, I mean it that's the whole book, man. Like it's all the way through there. One time he brought this lady over who never said a word. She said he said she was his friend, but I got the feeling she was more like his girlfriend. And I think she was African or something because she was real dark skinned.
Please stop. Please stop.
It's like you could just turn to any page and find these. They're gold. Personal preference, it's a 2. I disliked it. I can understand its appeal to others. It's got like a decent premise. I think if you like the hook of the travelers and stuff, I could see, like you did, a kid reading through a bunch of the books. I think he needs to give you a little more, though. I think he's being really like stingy or unimaginative with the lore. Like, you can't write a 400-page book and have me not know why they did anything they did. I'm sorry. And then recommendation strength, recommended to a niche audience that wouldn't care about major flaws. It's dated. It's slow. It's confusing. And it's also in competition with infinitely better series that target the same age bracket. So I can really only recommend it to people who read it when they were kids in 2002. And only like if I could go back in time and give it to them then. And even then, I think they'd still be like, he had hentai on his wall?
Yeah, hentai on his wall? What a loser, am I right? What?
Yeah, Mark, that's fucking weird, man. So yeah, that's a 2. That's a 2 out of 5. It's not the Sophie Hannah 5 out of 5. I hope that was a trip down memory lane for you, though.
That got me right in the why. Why?
Never reread, unless it's The Hobbit.
Let us know if after we do the Lord of the Rings, you want us to do a book by book of all the
A
deeds
chapter
of
by
MacHale.
chapter.
Chapter by chapter of
You don't.
Pendragon.
As funny as it may seem based on this episode, you don't. So yeah, that's that.
Here. All right, everyone, that is the end of the episode. Special shout out thanks to our patrons. We've got in the special Yacht Plan supporter tier, James the Gravy Man. You can find him on ifyouwantthegravy.wordpress.com, where he reviews everything except for books, because he is legally not allowed to review books anymore. Then you've got John Bierce, a real author. You can find his stuff on his Patreon, whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. And he's the author of The Rack, The Mage Errant. You can find his books wherever great books are sold and reviewed, except for, again, you can't listen or hear or see anything about his books on ifyouwantthegravy.wordpress.com. John Bierce, go check him out. And you got Shy with a Y. You can follow Shy on TikTok until it gets banned by the U.S. government. And finally, you've got Isekai Sensei Sama, who is co-hosting a podcast with Ben called That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster podcast. I think I got everyone. I'm gonna go now. My people need me. All one take. Not editing that at all.
Do you smell what the
Chetwind.
is cooking? In West
New York.
born and raised on the
My giant mansion.
is where I spend most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all shooting some b-ball outside of the school when I
My Uncle Press.
said we're up to no good. Started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little
Adventure across time and space.
and my mom got scared and said,
Disappearing forever. Goodbye.